If you clicked on this video, then I probably don't need to explain what FNAF is. Unless you clicked on this because you are familiar with Flash games instead. In that case, I'll just explain both. Five Nights at Freddy's is a survival mascot horror game where you work as a security guard in an infamous pizzeria, in which the animatronics come to life and try to kill you. It was inspired off of the criticism Scott Cawthon got for his game Chipper and Sons. It's probably one of the most influential mascot horror games of the 2010s. It has spawned many sequels of its original game, and has novels, merchandise of varying degrees of quality, and spin-offs of some kind. But with such popular franchise comes mods, and with advanced mods comes fan games. Fan games have always been very prominent and iconic in the franchise, some of which have been officially acknowledged. Fan games are often made with different engines: ClickTeam Fusion, Unity, Unreal Engine, Game Maker, RPG Maker, Godot, Scratch, Roblox, and much more. But there's a game engine that was prominent in the 2010s and that died off due to it being discontinued: Flash Player. Imagine this scenario and tell me if you've been in it. You were sitting in your desk, bored out of your mind, trying to find a way to kill time. You wished you could play a Mario game, but you didn't own a Nintendo console or couldn't afford a Nintendo game, or at least a Mario game. So you thought of a great solution. You searched "Play Mario for free" on your dweeby computer on google.com. And you are presented with two results that happened. In the first result that you clicked on, you find a shady website with a giant green download button. You click on it, and then your computer slows down greatly, and then you start getting ads for Protogent. You manage to download the game, but then as you are playing it, you can't close it. You get a blue screen, and then when you open the computer, your computer gets overloaded with crash messages and error screens. And then you start crying to your parents for help, but then realize they are not home, so you don't know how to fix it, and then later on throughout your life, you start developing trust issues, and you never trust anything on the internet again. And then in option 2, you find one of these games. You realize it's not actually Mario soon after, but you can't buy Mario anyway, and your standards are pretty low since you're 5 years old, so you enjoy it anyway. So that's how I assume most people would have encountered Flash. But if you still don't know what it is, then I'll explain to you. Flash Player was a program that allowed people to create games and videos that ran from 1996 to 2020. Back in the day, there were a lot of Flash games on websites like Girls Go Games, Cool Map Games, Flipline Studios, all that good stuff. But Flash games could range from two different categories. They were either made by a small indie dev, or a small team of indie devs who were small and obscure, and they had a lot of passion and work put into them. And the second type were, this sort of thing. Basically the equivalent of junk food. Cheap, produced fast, poor quality, but a quick and fun time consumer nonetheless. So let's get on to the first one. Okay, so I'm going to admit, despite knowing of FNAF since 2015, I only got obsessed with it this year, so basically 10 years later. I was too busy obsessing over Undertale, can you blame me? And when I was obsessed with Undertale, I of course played a lot of Flash games related to it, mostly from DeviantArt and usually from this user called Chibishi. I might make a video dedicated to her games at some point because she was a big part of my Flash game childhood. But I'm talking about multiple other games that I came across recently that were so bizarre that I had to make a video about them to see if other people even know of them. So one day, I was just drifting off to sleep, watching an Oh Yeah Cuphead video on my smart TV. I saw his video about the fake Cuphead remix, and when he showed that Play Games website, I was like, hey, that looks like the old Flash game websites I used to play. So here's what led me to create this video, so credit to him. So I decided to check it out for a bit out of curiosity to see what games they had. And of course, most of it was just trash, but I was still curious to check out what FNAF games they had, because I do that with any obsession of mine. Most of the games are just stolen FNAF fan games, including some of Chibishi's games, FNAF mods, or just fake versions of the official FNAF games. So when I was checking out the bootleg games, I came across this, which is what caught my interest the most, because unlike most of the other games on here, it heavily resembles the old 2015 Flash games on Girls Go Games, especially since the original publisher was a site called Cooking Games, which very much looked like one of those websites. But when initially playing, I was confused that it was supposedly published in 2023 because it looked like a Flash game, but it was made in HTML, so I went to play it with my brother, and it was, definitely strange, to say the least. So, the premise of the game is to just make these mechanical burger things with Freddy clapping at you saying, "Good job." So, you'll notice that you can make 3 burgers in the game, but it's pretty much a very repetitive process. So if you want to see the ending, you can just easily skip it with this button. And the ending is just a nothing burger. Just like the game. All you get to do is save a picture of the burger you made. Very monumental for any person who plays it. And in every intermission in the game, you get an ad, clearly showing that this was just a game made to profit off of FNAF. So, basically trash as well. But it does have more distinctive qualities for being a bootleg. Why? Because when you start messing up, Freddy reacts to your mistakes by screaming at you like this. I don't know why, but this has gotten so much laughter out of me because of this. Ironically, it started to get my interest deeper in. It made it stand out to me more than most bootleg Flash games, which is why I was curious to research on it. I know most bootleg games have mysterious creators, but I was interested anyway. And doing research on it actually made me learn an important fact that I want to share with you. But we'll get to that later. So, the first thing I decided to do was to click on the Cooking Games logo to see where it led me. And, well, it led me to more bootlegs, unsurprisingly. Some of the games were taken from other sites like Girls Go Games and others I used to play when I was little. But it didn't really answer any of my questions since there wasn't any information in the site. It was just a copy and paste Flash game website. Although it was still surprising to see since I hadn't seen much of these websites since forever, but maybe that was just my lack of interest for a while, so it was nice to see that I could still play some of my favorite old crappy Flash games on other places besides Flashpoint. But back on topic. So, I needed to find another way to find the supposed origin of this game, so I went and googled Cooking Games to see if I could find a social media page of some kind. Although due to the hyper-generic name, that was no luck either, so I kept looking around the Play Games site to see if I could find any games that appeared similar to this one. And I did find another one, FNAF Bartender. It was very similar aesthetic-wise, except Freddy wasn't wearing that outfit anymore, and there was a lot more dialogue in this one. For example, if you messed up, there would be quips, I guess, when you screw up the drink. Although there isn't actually a way to get Freddy to drink something he likes. But this game gave me the evidence I needed to fully investigate the origin of the game. I got confused starting it up seeing that it was from a different publisher than the other one, this time being from Super Games. I googled their site again, even though it seemed like a lost cause like the last one, but surprisingly, it made me figure out a couple of important facts. First of all, it seems like the Cooking Games actually was connected to Super Games. They seemed like a partner site of some kind, or multiple sites that were made for different categories since they look exactly the same. And secondly, the last post they made seems to imply that they made their games pre-2016, so that was supposedly the final piece in the puzzle. They They made their FNAF games back in its peak to profit off of it. They later stopped posting due to the deprecation of Flash, and later converted all their games to HTML. And then Play Games took the game. Seems like a hide-in-a-bow story, right? I thought that was the end of it, but when I revisited the Super Games website, I realized I hadn't looked into the website itself, which led me to find 2 more bootleg games. Although, unfortunately, this led me to find one important discovery. These games have unauthentic assets. Fork found in kitchen, I know, but what I mean by that is, take a look at these human characters and backgrounds. Yeah, AI has definitely been used, so this 100% disproves my initial theory that these games were made before 2016. So these games were actually made in 2023, despite having an old vibe to them. This made me very disappointed, obviously, since the games actually were pretty funny in a bizarre way. I don't believe everything used is AI, since it was made during a very rudimentary time of AI, and Freddy looks more traced from a 3D model, but it still doesn't excuse the use of it for literally the easiest type of game to make. But all of these games are like the cookie-cutter template of content farm Flash games. You got your average cooking game, a drinking game, that sort of game where you have to do something but you can't get caught doing it. And that doesn't need to be checked out, but you know what I mean by this kind of game. So, in conclusion, this was an HTML game made similarly to the Girls Go style of games. It was made during the late time of Security Breach's popularity and also in the rise of AI, so they sloppily made this game and published it. And the Play Games, who is notorious for stealing games, went and took it to their own site. So, there you have it. A bad but semi-funny game that had a really disappointing conclusion to it. If you want to check it out for whatever reason, you can find it on Play Games, Super Games, Cooking Games, and Mini Play. Although in my opinion, you should spend your time playing and supporting actual good fan games as I mentioned earlier. Heck, you can find some similar goofy online browser games made by indie devs as well. I'm going to make more videos talking about legit old amateur FNAF games that are more worth your time. Thank you for watching. This is my first time using my voice since I didn't really like the old videos that either had no voice or had a crusty text-to-speech voice. And plus, FNAF has just been a huge obsession of mine lately, so I wanted to make more videos about FNAF. So if you have more suggestions for topics I should cover, you can let me know. Since I've been trying to rebrand my channel more into my liking, since I know the 2 people who are returning viewers know me most for SMG4, but I want to make more legit videos rather than just compilations, so let me know.